when I was getting these beautiful things coming my way and in my life, it just wasn't enough. I was in a really dark place and really struggling, but so much grasping at having something, just something to help me kind of cling to what was. And then it was gone. Now it's all gone. Who are you going to be now?
Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here at the International Kadampa Retreat Center in Grand Canyon.
It's so nice to start my day here here at the temple and then get to chat with you. This is really nice.
Right? Our view, we walk out that door and the temple's right there.
That's amazing.
So what I'd like to do is start at the beginning,
okay,
which was, I think, maybe almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, coming up to 20 years.
Yeah. And how did you connect with this tradition and meditation?
Well, I have my partner at the time to thank for that. To kind of go back a little bit is I'll talk about kind of what led me to finding meditation and this tradition. But I work in the entertainment business, as you know. I'm an actor and a TV host, and I booked this job. I was living in Canada, and I booked a job in New York City on a big network TV show. And I was so excited, and I moved to New York, and it's like one of those chapters in your life when everything starts to change. And I'm on that show for a while, and it's bigger than life. All of a sudden, I've got all these things coming my way, and fame, and money, and excitement and pleasure and status and houses and cars and all these things externally that society kind of encourages us to pursue for happiness and for meaning in life. And this is what it's all meant to be. And I was doing it, and it was a lot. And all of those things, of course, are incredible things. But with certain people, me included, I started really grasping and needing and wanting more. And as we know, it's like drinking seawater, as Geshe says, and just that my contentment, there was zero contentment. I just more and more and more. And I had never in my life tried to find pleasure and happiness in any other way other than seeking it outside myself. I just didn't know. I'd never had that experience. So when I was getting these beautiful things coming my way and in my life, beautiful from one perspective, it just wasn't enough. And so I quickly, those little hits of external kind of pleasure, worldly pleasure, were very short-lived and grasping and needing and more, and it's quickly turned into drugs and then alcohol and women and late nights and more money and it spiraled really, really quickly. And although on paper you would say I had everything that you need to be happy and have this extreme life, this pleasurable life, I was in a really dark place and really struggling. And my partner at the time, Vanessa, obviously it trickled down into that relationship. And we were not doing well at all. And she just Googled Buddhism meditation near me. And this is the Upper West Side. We were living in Harlem at the time, and there was an Upper West Side branch class of, at the time, Chakra Sambhara, now KMC NYC. And Julia Strom and Tim Cockey, the dynamic duo who taught this branch class for years, I think almost 2 decades. Anyway, Vanessa went to the class. And apparently after the class, she went up and talked to Julia, and she just burst into tears because there was something about that class that just landed on her, touched her heart. And she came home to me and she said, I didn't go. She came because I was like, I'm trying to describe what my mind was so turbulent and so out of control and so I couldn't take a taxi across New York City without numbing out with like earphones, listening to music, being out. Like I couldn't sit. I needed a distraction to fall asleep at night. Like it was just zero mental peace, zero ability to sit with your own thoughts. And so here I am at home trying to, thinking I got it all figured out. So Vanessa comes home from class and she sits me down and she's got this intense look about her. And at that point in my life, I'm like, oh no. Like the only
You're in
time she
trouble?
ever had that intense look in my whole life was like, what else did I do? What else did she find out? Because I was not the best version of myself at this time, and I say that now. And so she sits me down and she goes, next week, you have to come to class with me. And I'm like, that's it? Like, that's all you got? I'm in. Whew.
But did
it
you
was
see
like,
what class it was?
Yeah, I knew what class she was going to.
Right.
I was like, fine, sure. Yeah, that's, And so Thursday comes around, and I was interested. I'd been interested in Buddhism. We had a beautiful Buddha statue in our house for years before that. So getting blessings for years before that. And I go to class, and I thought it was really interesting. The teaching was on the Four Noble Truths, true sufferings. My first teaching was true sufferings.
Wow.
Which I thought was really interesting, as we know. Was
no accident.
Yeah. And it locked me in. Like, I come from a very scientific background. Even though I'm in the entertainment business now, I studied engineering in college, math and science guy. So I was very logical, but not a spiritual guy at all. Mm-hmm. Very, very science-based. And there was something about the teaching and the way Julia presented Geshe-la's teachings in that moment for me at that time that I was like, that makes so much sense. That's so logical. I love how it was presented in a way that this is for you. Just take it home in your life. Try it with your mind, your challenges, your situation, your conditions. Give it a shot. See how you feel. Like, it was so gentle and it was so logical and so like kind of my own personal scientific experiment of my own happiness. Mm-hmm. And it made so much sense. So I love the psychology. I love the teaching. I came back the next week.
What did you notice the most? What was coming up?
When in the meditations?
Mm-hmm. Initially.
Just the fact that up till that point in my life, so however old I was, early 30s, that I had never, ever, ever stopped and tried to kind of turn inward and try and control my own mind. And tried to find some sort of peace, some sort of inner joy with nothing else but my own mind and trying to control it. Never, ever in my life. It was always distraction, numbing out, external pleasure, whatever it was. I was just trying to always distract my whole life. So that was a massive thing. It was like, what is this that we're doing?
Right.
Like, it was crazy. It was literally it was in a sense a new language. It was just it was a new world.
The reason why I'm mentioning this from my side, and I even, as a teacher, I do tell students this because so many struggle, and I want them to know that I understand that level of struggle. I know what it's like to have such a busy, distracted mind, and the noise, we're so accustomed to it, we don't even realize it. And then you have to sit and look and understand, wow, my mind is so out of control. And I think it's important that people understand. Not everyone just slips into these blissful meditations. For me, it was such a struggle. It really was.
That's an amazing thing that you bring to new students, because that's and Julia did as well, for me as a new student, and something that, I've had the opportunity to teach too. And I try to keep in mind as well. I really do.
Because people think there's so many misconceptions around meditation, and they think your mind is just going to switch off or something, and the thoughts and the feelings are just going to go away, and the mind, and there's even, disciplines that teach that empty your mind, but we know that can be relaxing and a stepping stone, but you have to learn to work with your mind. And it's not that the mind is just going to stop the thoughts and the feelings. They're going to slow down.
No, yeah.
Is that what you noticed first? So it got a little slower. First, it's like rapid fire.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then you learn a lot about your mind, like, wow, I'm in the future a lot. Or I'm in the past a lot. We're not even in the right time zone most of the time.
No, that's a good point too. I think you're right. You're bouncing back from the past to the future to what is, to how you're going to get through it. What time is it? What are you going to have to like? I mean, I could listen if you wanted me to write it. I couldn't write fast enough for the thoughts. But it's a great point. So I would say also that the part of the meditation, the preparatory part where we're trying to, pacify the mind a little bit in different ways and different strategies through usually some form of meditation on the breath. For me, it was much more helpful to have my mind occupied, during those times. So like the black and white meditation where you're thinking through that all the time. It was helpful for me. The absorption of cessation, for example, was very, very difficult for me at the beginning because that's more, that took me a while to be like,
yes,
I get it. And when you get that one, then you're like really kind of on your way in a sense. But for me, it was better to keep my mind. Omahom is another great one because you're kind of in a way, really directing your mind on something, you're keeping it occupied, which is, like you say, one of these big misconceptions about meditation when people come to you and they're like, I can't meditate. I can't blank my mind. It's too tough. And you're like, that is tough.
I got into meditation in Spain, and my very first 2 meditations I ever learned, it's so funny you mentioned them, Omahum on the mantra, so that, like you said, you're occupying your mind, and it's a meaningful object. Of course. So you receive blessings.
Yes.
And that then pacifies your mind from distraction and taking and giving.
Oh,
Taking and giving.
That was one of the first meditations
Those are the
you
first
learned?
2 meditations I ever learned.
That's incredible.
And with taking and giving, my roommate, her boyfriend had just broken up with her, and she was devastated, laying on the couch, just drinking to numb,
of course,
her pain. And I brought her to that class, and it just helped her so much. So I saw the power of that meditation through my roommate at the time. And then again, it gave me enough to do with the visualization and so forth. And so I think the important point is there's so many different techniques Buddha taught.
Yes.
And if you find the ones that resonate with you, then use those. And then, of course, eventually I understood the benefit of focusing on the breath. Right, and the sensation of entering and exiting. Yeah. Just for me, initially, that did not work for me. Right. My mind was too crazy. It didn't work. Yeah. Even the black and white breathing, it was not enough.
Oh, is that right?
No.
That's a good one for me because with that meditation, when my mind's really busy, I just try to focus on breathing out that busyness, that turbulence, that distraction in that way. But you're right. It's so personal and so specific. And even with an individual, it can change over time. There'll be, our karma will be with Omahum for a little while, or,
totally.
Or black and white, or taking.
Yes.
So it's interesting. And you just be gentle and be honest where you are in that moment and stick with it when it was working. I think that's great advice.
And then the clarity of mind meditation, where, I think just Buddha, you mentioned science, what a scientist of the mind, right? The clarity of the mind meditation, how brilliant is he? Oh, you guys are all so distracted. You're going to use your distractions to calm and clear your mind. That's incredible.
That's incredible.
So you just observe your distractions, and through observing
and not following, into your meditation in a sense, trying to. Yeah, it's just.
He knew us so well.
Yeah, and when I would find, and obviously I've heard my teachers say that when you really do get experience of that meditation, that's when you really learn how to meditate.
Right.
That, and
yes.
from that one, then you're really learning how to use your distractions and your thoughts and your feelings and whatever it is, almost to deepen your experience of the meditation.
Exactly.
And that's oh wow, that's a game changer.
Right.
Yeah, it was for me.
So here you are, you're in New York City, and let's just call it, you're on All My Children.
Yeah.
Which is a huge success. And you're studying Buddhism.
Yes.
And how did that impact and affect your career and how you related to your career and all the things, the fame and the notoriety and reputation, status? How was that influencing your experience of all those things?
Do you know, I don't think I've ever been asked that question. And it's such a good question because it was night and day. It changed.
Really?
Yeah.
So all that's the same.
Yes, exactly right.
What changed?
Yeah, luckily I'm still working. I'm still doing things in this business. So as I started to practice, the things that I noticed was, for sure, without a doubt, I just stopped taking myself so seriously.
Oof. How do you do that? It's especially in that business.
Well,
because you're your brand.
Even early on, obviously, I didn't have a lot of teachings on emptiness yet, and things that would probably help that substantially. But just perspective, just zooming out, just taking that kind of obsessive self-concern and learning to focus on other, and learning just the incredible benefit of learning to cherish others and care and love and be focused on others. And that changed everything. So coming to work, what can I do for you? Like, how can I help you? And it was like this massive weight was lifted off me in this business. And it absolutely affected those around me. Like, that was one of the other things that I would notice is us getting the sort of the motivation, I'll say motivation right as well, is learning to work on myself and improve my inner qualities and harm my delusions as much as possible, but so that I can be this kind of, this benefit to those around me and those that I have interactions with. And it definitely did. Like, without a doubt. I'll tell one story. Early on in my practice, I do a lot of Christmas movies and TV movies and things as well. And I was doing early on this Christmas movie, and my co-star in this movie was so mean and so tricky. I'll just say it. I'll just say she's so horrible. As a character
or like the...
No.
Oh, in real life.
In real life.
IRL?
And had a reputation as such. And but I'm like, and I was really in it. I was going to our pujas or our chanted prayer ceremonies. I was going to classes. I was studying. I was practicing I was really, really, in a good place, practice-wise, Dharma-wise. Coming to work and literally like doing scenes with this person and making fun of me after the scene, making fun of my face, making fun of how I do things, like flat. I've never experienced anything like it. Really, really, and awkward. Like all the production around going like knowing that this is not, but just relentless every day.
Why do you think that was happening?
Well, my take on it was that this person was massively insecure and in a lot of pain. And I knew certain things, and there was a pretty big star, and I knew certain things in the news that had been through a lot of trouble and a lot of struggles and was sort of a child star and went through a lot of things that at least
it's dawning on me who this person is. Yes, go on.
And yeah. And so anyway, I just I prepared every day, did my practice, kept this person in mind as I went, and just loved her, and just like had, thought of her as this person that was riddled with pain and anger and attachment, probably insecurities, and like we all have, but it was manifesting pretty strongly. It seemed so for her. And I just kind of kept going. I just kept going with kindness and not reacting. And obviously, if I needed to say something to production, if I needed to take care of myself in a way further than what I was doing with my practice at that time, I would have. So I wasn't sitting there getting beat up and getting taken advantage of. I was okay. Like, I knew I was okay because I was checking in with myself and I was practicing. If it was too much, obviously, I'm not saying that you go out there and you get beat up and just take it, right? But at that time in my career, my practice, like it was an incredible opportunity for me. And I really was in it. Like I'm being authentic when I say that.
Did it ever change?
So the movie went on, and I remember, for those that don't know, we have this beautiful chanted prayer ceremony called Melodious Drum. It's quite extensive.
It's like 4 hours.
It's like 4 hours long. And there's a part in it where you can put people's name down and the sick and suffering. And I included her name.
Wow.
And I put it down because I knew she was. I mean, I really, and I included her name in that. And then literally the next day we go to work and same sort of thing. And I'm home in my my hotel room going to sleep, and my phone rings, and it's her on the phone, and she's like, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry." And I was like, "Wait, what?" She's
I
like,
got goosebumps.
"I'm so sorry. I've been kind of mean to you." And she goes, "How do you stay so happy all the time? Wow. What do you do? How are you so just happy and peaceful?" And I was like, oh, because I don't know how I come across, I don't know. I know how I feel, but you never know. And we talked for a little bit on the phone. I told her a little bit about everything that like any bit of peace that I have in my life or whatever obviously comes from all of Geshe's teachings and from going to class, etc.
Not because you're Canadian?
Not because I'm Canadian. Well, no, my mom and dad too. They're amazing. They were incredible too. They definitely helped me on my way. So
wow.
she started coming to class.
You're kidding.
And
wow.
I make up that it really changed her life. Yeah. And so
no way.
Yeah. So it was a great story. And
are you friends?
Yeah, stayed friends with her. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool. So anyway, my point is at that time, it changed the way I went to work. It changed the way I dealt with difficulty. It changed the way I kind of was so hyper focused on oneself. Obviously, you still have to go to work and be prepared and do your thing and like look good and do all the things that I need to do in my job. But if I do it with, less obsessive self-concern or exaggerated self-importance, it just makes everything better. And just going in with love and kindness and respect. I'm on a show now where I try to go in and I'm pretty experienced in a lot of different areas of this industry now, and I go in and I try to feel like I'm with my tail tucked in between my legs, just like as the low guy, as the new guy, and just being like, yeah, what can I do for you? How can I make the show better? Like, I try to really bring that mind to it, and get out of my own way the way that I used to.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's humility, isn't it?
Of course.
Something that is taught extensively in Buddhism. So what is humility? Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around it. In your experience, how does that look?
Yeah, that's another good question, Rebecca. No, that's great.
Because you're
that's
confident
great. No, it's
and
a big
humble.
one.
I think that is like such a powerful combination.
How do
confidence and humility.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I think you can't be humble unless you're incredibly confident.
No, I mean, I go on live TV in front of millions of people, and
Yes,
I'm prepared, and
exactly.
I'm relaxed and confident, and at the same time, my practice for sure, is that in humility. But
and it's got to be authentic humility, not the humble brag.
Right. It's like, oh no, really, I'm not. No, that's not.
How
not
can
me.
you authentically be humble?
Really? No. You think
no
so about
humble
me?
bragging.
No. I mean, I think just over time, and recognizing and thinking, it's for me, honestly, a big piece of it. And I'm getting this question for the first time, and I think it's a really, really in-depth question, and answers will come to me in like 4 hours after we're done for sure. But I would say that a big piece of it for me is just perspective, is just thinking about just this little lightning strike of a life, and the preciousness of what we have and this opportunity and past lives and future lives and karma and like this little kind of brief moment where I get to have this cool job in front of whatever and maybe make people feel good from my Christmas movies or whatever it is. It's like, bruh, as my kids say,
right.
Don't take yourself so seriously. This is a great opportunity to connect with others. So perspective, zooming out, really looking at the big picture helps keep me I think all of us so humble and being like, this is just like such a flash of lightning in the sky, like Geshe says. That's one piece of it, I would say. I think another piece for sure is how it makes you feel. Check it out yourself. Like when I was much more self-absorbed and me all the time. What about me? What are you doing for me? How did I feel? What was the direction of my life? What choices was I making in my life when I was focusing and self-driven like that versus getting experience of putting these teachings into practice and trying my best to get out of that and focus on others and be more other-centric and not be in this bubble of self. And how did that make me feel? And it's like the most beautiful feeling. It's like I said, this huge weight lifted off.
So it sounds like your measurement for success dramatically changed.
My measurement
because
for success, yes.
So you had this measurement of success with, the status and the fame and everything. And now you're like, oh, my measurement of success is having a positive, peaceful, happy mind, being more other-oriented.
Yeah, being a benefit to others. Yeah,
being of service to others.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that, the close karmic circle of my kids and family, et cetera, is sort of where you see it mostly. But I've had, my family and I have been through some big life challenges in the last several years, and having my kids come to me and talk to me about what they see and how I'm handling things, literally, and they writing cards, like those sorts of things are like, oh, that's the impact maybe that I'm trying to have out there, and it's nice to sort of to hear that from them, I suppose. Yeah.
Can you give an example of not getting a part? Or I know it was a big deal when All My Children was canceled. How did you deal with that? Was there a denial at any point because it was such a big show? Were you shocked when it was actually canceled?
Sure. Yeah, there was definitely All My Children was on, for those that may not know, for 42 years. It was something that was never going to end.
Yes.
It was forever. Like, what are you talking about?
And how long were you on?
I was on for 14 years, and 14 of the 42. And this incredible years of my life, really, really formative, amazing years, incredible memories, incredible people. But when that show ended, it was a massive amount of, I can't believe this. This isn't happening.
Right.
Like that mind of rejection,
right?
Which is so silly, because guess what? It's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But that mind of like, I can't, this isn't happen. How can this happen to me?
Right.
What do we do? How do we get it back on the air? This scramble. It wasn't going back on the air. It was done. It was time to move on. And, thankfully, it was scary. There was a lot of fear that came up. I had set a sort of established a lifestyle for my family based on income and standards that I was kind of bringing in, and for my kids in private school and things like that. And so there was a lot of things, kind of logistical, regular, worldly things that I had to take care of. You've got to deal with. But that's the outer problem. The inner problem, of course, is this mind of rejection and disbelief and attachment and et cetera. And that's where I'm so lucky that I had, these teachings to kind of come back to, because just accepting, just literally being like, oh, wait a minute. So the show's over. That's done. What now? Like you get from that tight, painful mind of rejection to like vast, open, patient mind of acceptance, which is very solution oriented. So now that you're trying to take care of the inner problem, now I can try to see what can I do on the outer, with this more peaceful, more accepting, compassionate mind. So many other people. Luckily, I had a hosting career going at the same time. I was doing TV movies at the same time. I had other things, But even if I didn't, I had Dharma.
Yeah.
And so many of my co-stars and crew and people that were really, and are still, haven't recovered.
So you experienced that, and then over the period of, would you say about 5 years, you had a lot of loss in your life and a lot of challenges.
Yep.
And in Buddhism, we talk about Lojong, training the mind, and you were in major Lojong, hardcore boot camp for a period of years. Could you talk a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, and I'll say this list, and I know we all have our stuff. Like this is my world and my challenges, but man, I know we can all kind of relate to different aspects, and going through stretches like this, I would only imagine. But I did go through, in 2019, I was diagnosed with very serious kidney cancer, which came kind of out of nowhere because I thought I was this Mr. Healthy guy. and in many ways life-threatening. And in the recovery of that kidney cancer, my mom was visiting from out of town, and she started talking gibberish and not making sense. And we then, in my cancer recovery, found out that she had extremely... That's a tough one. And I knew this was going to happen. Like a really aggressive. Just give me one sec. Okay, I got it. Extremely aggressive form of brain cancer, and then shortly after that, I lost my job. Like, I had this great job as a talk show host. That job got canceled because of COVID. So COVID happened. Then somebody very, very, very near and dear to me, it's their story to tell, but went through a very scary, life-threatening drug experience where we thought we were going to lose this person to drugs. And then shortly after that, my 22-year marriage started to crumble and fall apart, which was a surprise to me and not something I ever thought was going to happen. And that led to divorce. And then my dog died. And then shortly after that, my house burned down, and I lost everything that I've ever owned, every piece of existence of my life. My kid's life was gone in that moment. So there was even some little things in that I won't bore everybody with, but it was a challenging stretch. Obviously, still, super emotional. But if it wasn't for being where I am in this practice at this point, in this tradition, with Geshe-la's teachings, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I kind of know what I would have done.
My gosh.
And it wouldn't have been good. Like it was,
wow.
It was a lot. And
That's
man,
an understatement.
And I just kept coming to the center and going and doing retreats and coming to classes and being around Sangha and relying on my resident teacher in LA at the time it was very close with. And
how did you navigate all of that? One day at a time?
Yeah, I would say it was one day at a time, but it was also for instance, like, it was different challenges, different kind of. That's the beautiful thing about what's laid out for us in this tradition, is like different strategies, different teachings for different kind of things. Like when I was going through my cancer journey, you talked about taking and giving, like that saved me. That literally changed my whole experience. Wow. of my going through my cancer journey, and as things went on, losing my mom, obviously, there's other teachings that helped me there, the meditations on death and all sorts of incredibly practical, whatever was going on at the center at the time seemed like it was the perfect teaching at that time for what I was going through. I will say that the last thing on that list, hopefully, I won't say hopefully the last, who knows, obviously not the last in life, but the house burning down before my eyes, and literally everything that I've accumulated and worked for 30 years in this business, in my life, everything I had was in the house. So I didn't have things with my parents. That was like a 15-year house. Like everything was there, where, everybody has different relationship with their homes. We renovated every square foot. So there's a lot of.
Did you design it?
We designed all the renovation and like every single piece, every tile, everything, was for the family. My kids wanted to raise their kids in that house. All of their birth pictures were there, all on film, all of their childhood photos, all of their everything to do with their childhood, which was obviously the hardest part. I had an opportunity to talk to somebody far wiser than myself about this whole stretch. And, we've talked about different strategies, but it was such a beautiful opportunity. So I'm talking about all the pain and all the challenges, which I think is important to do, and not try to get stuck in it. But then also, what an opportunity to work on my non-attachment, to prepare for death. I mean, this teacher said to me, it's like Geshe is preparing you for death. You almost lost your life, your body, your mom, your dog, your kids left the house, went off to college, your relationship that you thought was going to be forever, and your house, your possessions, it's all gone. It's all gone. Like a death. Like it's almost like, when we die, it's all gone. Just, it was such a beautiful teaching in a way. And I will say this, and we've talked about this, but I will say this, that I snuck up in the morning of the fires because it was on the news. They were reporting in my area and literally on my street, but I couldn't see my house in the background and where I was staying at Vanessa's place. And so I got in my car and I snuck up with a mask and goggles and houses burning all around. And I came around the corner and I saw my house burning. And there was like nothing there, still like simmering and burning. It looked like a green screen. It looked like a bad movie. It didn't look real.
Yeah.
Like
it didn't
really
look real.
It like my video literally looked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cheap green screen production.
It didn't.
It was so surreal. And I'm walking there, and I muted. I posted it, but I muted it because I'd never heard those noises come out of my body before. Like it was such deep shock and like reality. It's so silly, especially as a Dharma practitioner. But what I was seeing wasn't matching what I knew to be true. Mm-hmm. Like it was so unbelievable. Mm-hmm. There was like this disconnect. It was almost like when I got the call that I had cancer. Like it's like, is anybody, people at home I'm sure can relate a little bit. And in that moment, and I'm hyperventilating and making this unimaginable sort of sounds and cries, but there were moments, and so my point is, there was moments even right then that I was like, it's all gone. Like there was a freedom, like little blips where it was like, oh gosh, because I'd had the wish for years, and I talked to my teachers about it, and I'd had the wish for years to have less and to want less.
Wow.
Like I just, I've been very fortunate with money and jobs and just more stuff. Even though I didn't, I had this wish to have less and want less, but I was accumulating, even with that wish, it was very odd, even with my practice. Mm-hmm. And so in that moment, it was like, Geshe was like, oh, I got you. Wow. It's all gone now.
It's almost like your worst fears are realized. So now what?
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
No, I think that's in line.
I'm saying it very clumsily, but I'm just trying to understand.
I think
where that freedom and relief, how in the world, because I was around a lot of people who lost everything.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And they did not feel free.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I was only feeling free.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I understand, but you were going in and out of it.
It was, but it definitely was I remember where I was walking when it hit me. So I definitely know in that moment it was still burnt. Like I was in the middle of my video that I was taking for Vanessa and for my dad, and you don't know until you know what it feels like to have the opportunity and how kind of painful attachment is. Because it sort of feels like it's helping us. Mm-hmm. And then when you have the opportunity, like it was a forced opportunity, I'm not going to pretend like it was my practice that did it, but in that moment, it was gone. And there was an absolute, no doubt, sense of freedom and a weight lifted off that. And I hope if my kids see this and they don't misunderstand, because obviously, I was doing everything I could to keep that house for them, and it meant the world to us as a family. But at the same time, there was something about it that now it's all gone. Mm-hmm. Who are you going to be now?
Right.
What's this next kind of life? This next version of you?
Like a rebirth.
A rebirth. Like what now? Now you got nothing. What's it going to be like? What's happening now? Where are you going?
The phoenix,
yeah,
rising from the ashes. So now you're going to rise from the ashes,
well,
and
let's hope. Trying.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a very unique opportunity for
Yeah, but
for
to even
growth.
say those words, it's a very unique opportunity. Most people would not use that phrase to describe this stretch of so much loss. And you're very authentic when you say that. How can people get there? Because there's so much grief and loss in this world, and pain and suffering. And how in the world, in your experience, because you are in a unique position to help people now.
Yeah.
I mean, no one can deny,
Yeah.
right, that what you've learned in these lessons, and then what can you impart to others to help them?
I would say that you don't have to lose everything, first of all. That's the good news. You don't have to go out and get rid of everything, but just practice contentment. Just practice contentment. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, virtuous practice. And
That's not a common word. So what does that mean? You don't hear that a lot.
I would say that, and we talked a lot about this term attachment and grasping and needing and wanting and craving. And we said, like drinking seawater, it leaves you less and less satiated, just wanting more. And just saying to yourself sometimes, I've got everything I need. I'm good. I've got everything I need. I've got like shelter, and hopefully you do, shelter and food, and hopefully community and whatever it is, but just like, I'm good. Because guess what? We are. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that. And the more you accumulate, in my experience, and I think in many people's experience that have had the opportunity to accumulate a lot of stuff, we see it in LA and the big cities all the time, in Hollywood especially. The more you accumulate, the more you want. It's so true. You read it in the New 8 Steps to Happiness. You read it in, How to Transform. You read it in these books and be like, oh yeah, that's true. It's true. It's 1,000% accurate. It is truth. The more you accumulate, the stronger your attachment gets, because you get these little blips of enjoyment and pleasure, and it's not enough. It's like licking honey off a razor's edge. It'll just keep getting you. We
need so much in order to be happy or just be comfortable.
It's interesting you say that too, because I think part of my practice through all this is a lot of these things, even as a Dharma practitioner, I had the mindset that like unimaginable can't happen, which is so ridiculous. But me getting cancer as this fit, healthy guy on TV, like, what?
Right.
My mom had just ran a marathon. Super healthy woman, like brain cancer, passed away. Then the experience with that person very, very close to me that was using drugs and almost died under our nose and had no idea, like unimaginable. Then the end of my we went through a challenging time, as I told you at the beginning of our relationship when I found Dharma, and we'd been through it, and it was a beautiful, we got so close. I never in a million years thought that this marriage was going to end. So then the marriage ended, what? Unimaginable to me. And then the house burning down and losing so all of these things, it's so silly because it's all within the realm of possibility within our karma. But at the same time, that mindset made it all that much more painful. Like all of those things, I just, I wasn't ready for.
So after going through all of this and focusing on the immediacy and the practical things going on in this situation, how did you get back to your practice where it was before all of this happened?
It's so important. And a few things. The number one thing I kept saying to myself was, I just got to get to the center. Get to the center. That's where I was in that moment, right? So obviously our home practice is super important, and our daily life practice, obviously even more important in some ways. But I knew I needed to get back to the temple. I needed to get back to KMCLA. Just being there in the blessed environment around Sangha, getting teachings, even if it wasn't teachings, whatever. So I tried to make it back there as often as I can, TTP, in GP classes, or just volunteering. A lot of it was some external stuff, getting to the center, setting up a shrine. And then a lot of it was just making it a priority. Okay, so now you've got a few moments of your day, of your week or whatever, where you can start making it a priority again. And in a sense, scheduling it in is what I needed to do.
So Cameron, you play one of the most detestable characters on television right now in General Hospital.
I do.
So I want to talk about that. Is that cool?
Absolutely.